there's a reason why Soul Calibur 2 was so popular, because yeah, like if you got good at it, then it was like it was super intense, super cool. But even if you weren't like a master or even like 100% competent at the beginning, you could still do stuff. Like we're going back to Maxi. You just spam like a couple buttons. Maxi did all types of crazy stuff.
Rooflemonger was on Boogar MG's podcast, and he basically gave an opinion that for him personally, he felt like 2D fighters were easier for casuals to get into and mash and make something happen than 3D fighters. Now, this was kind of a topic that once I put up a clip of it on social media and responded to, a lot of people was just like, yeah, I don't kind of know what Big Dog Roofle was talking about, but you know, this one's kind of a unique take, because you know, for a long time people have, I won't say majority of people thought, because it's not like it's a, you know, one of the, I mean, it seemed like, you know, your intro into getting your FGC card is like, who do you think is the top fighting game of all time? And if it's anywhere near Marvel, CVS, whatever, they just give you a card. So it's not like people really discussing this a lot. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think 2D fighters are easier to get into for casuals to kind of get in, rub their nose across the controller and make something happen? Or do you think that's 3D fighters? So we'll start with the man with the Snoop Dogg locks, Mr. Gamer.
Okay. My first initial thought is absolutely not. I thought we actually, didn't we cover this before? Didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we say this before already? Was this the same?
I don't even remember.
I think so. Was this? I don't know if this is the same. Maybe he said it again, but yeah, I think we covered this. But I'm gonna reiterate whatever I said the first time. No. Every time I had somebody play fighting games with me, like 2D fighting games, Street Fighter 4 was popular. I had a friend play it, and they were like, "This game sucked. Like this, I can't do nothing." I'm like, "You don't know the moves. You gotta learn the moves." But you play a 2D of a 3D fighting game, and they're like, "Oh, this is great. Oh, Tekken is. Oh, this is so much better." It's like, and you know why? Because the entry level of just like making things happen on screen, and I've said this time and time again, 3D fighters, they have stuff a person can just mash. Like Rexon just said, rub their nose across the controller and do something cool. And they're like, oh, yeah. And then people think they're good. Countless times I've met people, even in college, that play Harong or they play Eddie, and they're like, man, I'm so good at this game. I'm like, no, you're not. You just mashing buttons, my guy. I had to deal with this so many times. Like, I'm like, you're not good. I'm like, I already know what. It's funny. Like, I had a thing in college. Anytime somebody walk up to me, it's like, I'm good at fighting games. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, my initial thing is like, no, you're not. Every single time, I'm like, you got to prove it to me. And as soon as we play, I'm like, yep, I knew you weren't good. You just mashing buttons. And whatever game it was, there was one guy I met in college. Shout out to my homeboy James. Me and Rex, my boy James. When I met James, he said, yeah, I play fighting games. He didn't really say like I was, good, but I played him and I saw, I'm like, oh yeah, he good at fighting games. Because one, he was playing KOF 13 and he was like solid. I'm like, okay, yeah, he good at fighting games. Everybody else I met, and it was always Tekken. Oh yeah, I'm good at Tekken. I'm good at Mortal Kombat. I'm like, no, you're not. You just I see who you picking. Like, I already know what's up. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would like to see, or like maybe I got to hear the explanation of why he thinks it, because I just don't think that's true. I mean, if we're talking about getting further into being competitive with the games, then maybe 3D it would be harder to get into because it's like 3D. You got X, Y, and Z axis, right? In fighting games, it's just X and Y. 2D fighting games. But overall, if I just had a random person that never played fighting games and I put the controller in their hand, if they're playing a 3D game, they're going to feel like they're doing more because they just press buttons and you get random combo chains to happen just out of random luck. You don't get that with 2D games a lot of the time, especially games like KOF and Street Fighter rely on links and stuff like that. If they a one frame link, nobody's trying to do that as a casual. Like, that's too hard for them. They don't want to do stuff like that. They want to do stuff that looks cool right away. And in most 3D fighters, you can do that. Virtua Fighter, Tekken, DOA, all of them are just like, you can just happen chance up on a combo and like, oh, that looks cool, So I don't know. I don't know. That it's kind of it's an interesting take for sure. Maybe he has his own personal reasons for it, but I absolutely think that they are not harder. They're not 2D fighters are much more less appealing and harder to get into for casuals than 3D fighters. You know.
All right, well, it's good to know when I came up to you and told you I was decent at fighting games, what you really thought about me at first.
Oh no!
But it's on you, E.
I don't think I don't know if I thought that about you, but there's certain people that I'm thinking of when that was told to me, and you was not one of them.
Don't
I
take
have
it
my
back
three.
now.
Goodness.
You heard him, E. No, he can't take it back now.
That's funny.
On you,
Oh
E.
my Lord. Oh my goodness. So off rip, I'm going to agree with Mr. Game and Lift. Absolutely not, man. I would say, I mean, like Mr. Game and Lift said, you can basically, when you're playing like a game like Tekken, it's like, yeah, not only can you just like press like the actual like face buttons and get things to happen, because oftentimes like the moves kind of move you forward and stuff. So you're actually moving around just based on doing moves anyway. But then in addition to that, like you don't really have to do any there's not like, at least like from a lot of the characters, there's not a whole lot of motion control. You know what I mean? There's no like quarter circle, there's no half circle. There might be a couple of moves like that, but a lot of them are just down forward, down back, down forward, back, up forward, up back, for just to do your moves. So you're not really, having to be like, oh, mess up. The likelihood that you're going to mess up your input and have something not come out is less likely when you're playing a game that doesn't even have that in it in the first place. Not only that, but if we're just talking about like, this is like, if we're just talking about Street Fighter, it's difficult, right? Like to like figure out, like we're talking about like like Mr. Game and Lift mentioned one frame links, man. Like that's not easy to do for somebody who's just starting to play the game. And this is and like just in general, that game is kind of difficult, for like trying to figure out like how to actually do something that isn't like, just like a basic move. Now, that's just talking about like a game like we're talking about like Street Fighter or something like that. That's like you're not even getting into games like Under Night where the game just moves like such a breakneck speed and like people are just zipping all over the screen doing all types of crazy stuff, and you kind of have to like you're like people like if you're playing like a character like Seth like in Under Night, you kind of like have to be like, all right, I'm over here, I'm doing this move, and then Seth will zip to the other side, so you immediately have to adjust and flip your inputs because now he's on the other side. You got to do the input to go the other way. It's difficult, man. Believe me, I've tried it and I failed at it before. It's not easy. So yeah, man, like I remember playing on what was it? Like Mr. Gamerless said, oftentimes when somebody said that they were good at a fighting game, it was usually like a 3D game. Like I remember somebody said, "Oh yeah, man, I'm really good at Soul Calibur." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Then
Did he play Maxi?
um, yeah, he
Maxi?
did actually. Yeah, he played
Yep,
Maxi.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, he played Maxi. And like, man, I was like, oh, okay, then we'll see. We'll go ahead and see, man. I bodied him. And by the way, this is before I started playing Astaroth. I hadn't even, reached my full potential. I hadn't reached my final form yet. I'm still playing Salamel at that point on Soul Calibur 4.
That should have been your final form.
What?
Zazalamel? That should have been your final form.
Not in that game, bro.
Which one? Was this 4 or 3?
Yeah.
4?
Yeah, 4.
Man, I was sauteing and cooking people in that game with Zazalamel.
What a Chuck E. Cheese? Like
no. I had the onions, the bell peppers, the paprika, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so anyway, like by the way, like I said, man, I was cooking people with Zasalamel back in that game, and I hadn't even switched to Astaroth yet. And most people it's funny because you said James, and I'm like, yo, I had a friend named James who I played Tekken with, who said, "Oh yeah, I play Tekken." Now he didn't ever say that he was like super good at it. He just said I played the game, and then we were pretty even. It was funny because he played Wrong and I played Steve, so there was always that whole hands versus feet kind of thing going. So that was fun. But yeah, anyway, back to the original point. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Rooflemonger's experience was like doing like playing like T2D fighters like that. Like, I mean, maybe he just kind of had like the kind of inclination, like he kind of leaned that way already. So maybe it might have been easier. Maybe like some of the experience that he had was a lot better. But for me and a lot of people I know, I would say that 2D fighters were definitely more difficult to get into on the beginner level. I mean, for like most people that I knew. So that's my take.
Well, I hate to make everything sound like, just a repeating track, but I agree with them. I mean, I lean more towards 3D fighters. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, let me be clear. It is easier for a casual to get into 3D fighters than 2D fighters. The first thing that comes to my mind is just movement. I know for me personally, like first getting into fighting games, like when you talk about 3D versus 2D, 3D just felt so much free, so much more free. Um, 2D, it reminded me of like you ever play those boxing games and it's like when you're kind of far away, it's like you can kind of move however you want to, but if you get within a certain proximity of each other, it's like they kind of it's like it kind of changes and they lock you into like you can't really move back or something. You gotta engage. I'm like, man, I really don't like that because it's like if it gets to a point where this dude like demolishing me and I don't know what I'm doing, I can't just escape. I can't like run away. That was the great thing about like those Naruto games, those arena fighters or arena fighters in general. Like if somebody was giving you the business, you could just literally just zoom the other way and be like, all right, let's like, rethink everything. In a game like Street Fighter or a lot of 2D games, um, if people are getting on you and they giving you the business, I mean, it's not much you finna do as far as like you finna have to like know how to play the game, know what moves to do, know what things to do to get them off you. And in 3D with more kind of movement and stuff like that, like in Tekken, they can knock you down and you could just stay, roll on the floor and figure out how you're gonna get up and stuff like that. It makes it a little bit more, and then the overall movement and stuff in the game makes it feel like a little bit more free, a little bit less restrictive. So you don't feel like, you can't do as much. And then, like they said before, in 3D games like Tekken and Soul Calibur, you could literally just be pressing buttons and a bunch of different moves will come out in sequence that are actually like link. In Street Fighter or other 2D games, you could be sitting there tapping button. You could be doing like 18 buttons at one time, but it's like they probably just go throw out that medium kick, stop, light kick, stop, medium punch, stop, low sweep, stop, and then it's like you can't do a lot of stuff in sequence just mashing. Like you have to know how to link. I mean, unless you know how to card cancel, the timing of the links and stuff like that, you're really only gonna be throwing out one thing at one time. Most times you have to hit the opponent and keep a combo going. So that's another thing that makes it like a lot harder. And then like they said, I mean, it's just been famous. People get characters like Maxi, and stuff like that, and they just swing for the fences. Don't play real characters like Raphael and go get their wins. The justified earned hallway. One of the most respectable characters in the game. They just go out here and just start swinging nunchucks and stuff all over the field. People will go and get nightmare and start swinging a sword and hit you one good time, and you lose 30% immediately. And it's like, come on, man, like this dude go sit here and get 3 of these and then swear he the best thing to play the game. Then don't let him mess around and hit you with that launcher with Nightmare, like send you in the sky like, "Ah," and then come back down and he hitting you some more. Like, dude go get 45% and swear he a master in the game. But yeah, I lean more towards like 3D, like me. I'm somebody, Mr. Gamerlift just told you I'm trash at games. So I'm more somebody who just,
I don't think
lean
that's what I
towards like a
said.
casual and stuff like that. So I could just speak from, a person who stayed a noob all their life. One of the games I did the best at ever, like any game that I felt like I was pretty good at was Tekken Tag Tournament. Tekken was a game that one, a lot of stuff could happen. Two, it was high damage. You get in there and learn like your decent 1-2 combos and stuff like that with your little team. You could do something, and I was doing something. So shout out to Tekken Tag Tournament. You actually made me feel like I was somebody. You always hold a place in my heart. I was actually taking games off Mr. Game Lift. I don't know if he was letting me or not, but hey, hey, I'll take him. But anybody else got anything to
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what his experience was with 3D fighting games and like what he's thinking, like the difference between the two games and like what makes it easier in 3D games. Maybe he thinks because the Z axis is in a 3D game, maybe that's what makes it harder because you have to, understand like more. But again, this is like a beginner level. Most people aren't thinking about those things. Most people aren't thinking about like how to get up off the ground in a 3D game. Most people aren't thinking about like being caught against the wall and tech traps and all that type of stuff. They're not thinking about that. They just most people, casual beginners, are just mashing buttons. And what game is the easiest to mash buttons in? Is 3D games. Like Rexon just mentioned, the combo style. You have chains in Street Fighter. Like you can chain lights together. That's all you can chain in Street Fighter games. And you also have target combos, but those are very specific, and you have to know which like buttons do the target combos, right? So yeah, like you can chain lights, but even in like certain combos, like you can chain up to like, let's say you chain 3 lights together and you want to link a medium punch, you have to link the medium punch from the light punch that you chain. So it's like 2 different styles of combo inputs. So yeah, like I said, I've had people play Street Fighter with me and they're like, this sucks. I'm like, what do you mean it sucks? I don't know what to do. Like it's too hard. Like I'm like, it's just too hard for people. Like learning how to do motion inputs and have circle motions and something like KOF. Come on, man. KOF, those motions in that game, those supers, that's so much more less intuitive than just saying, oh, I'm gonna just pressing face buttons and do. Even King's combo chain grabs, you can mash those. Well, now you can kind of legit mash them. But back in the day, you could still mash those. You could just like kind of mash buttons and you could still like sometimes get like a extra grab. And those people know how hard those are, but you can still mash those and get some randomly to come out, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't agree. Well, my experience with fighting games and playing other people in fighting games, 2D has always been the less of the two when it comes to just people getting into games. Now, stuff like Mortal Kombat is like an exception to that rule, kind
I
of.
was just about to say that respectfully, like Mortal Kombat was like probably one of the 2D fighters that people casuals lean more towards because you could do a lot more. It's not like, Street Fighter and the other 2Ds. Like their special moves are literally back, forward, down, down. Something you could easily get it. You could literally spam their specials so much easier. Their combos were a lot easier. Like I remember MK9, all I had to do was do square, triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle over and over again, and it'll corner carry into the corner. And then I'm doing like 35% with Liu Kang, like off squares, triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle, square, triangle, circle, over and over. That's all I had to know. And I was winning. So,
boy, yeah. That's like I said, that's the one exception to this because their combo system is pretty similar to like Tekken. It's like the dialer combo, which is very similar to like how Tekken works. Not quite the same because for some reason they have this like archaic system in Mortal Kombat where you have to press the whole sequence for some combos for it to actually come out fully. And Tekken, you just have to press each individual button. There might be some cases like that, but yeah, mostly in Tekken, it's like you just press them and they'll come out. But MK had this like you have to. Let's say you had like square, X, and circle, and you press them all like slow. You just get like the first part. You have to like press it all together like really fast for the whole string to come out. And yet again, Mortal Kombat was another game like MK9, MKX. A lot of people that I met. I remember I had this little tournament that I entered in college when MKX first came out. Guys in there talking big trash, man. I'm so good. And I just came in there with Kung Lao and just wiped everybody out. Like, because people like picking Scorpion, thinking I'm like, bro, like you got to do more than what you're doing, my guy. This little trying to catch me with spear and teleport and all that, and just trying to mash random combo strings, it ain't gonna work. But yeah, I don't know. I just think the 2D fighters are a lot less friendly to casuals than 3D fighters are.
Yeah, it's like I feel like when you're at least as a beginner, when you're playing like a 3D fighter, you're kind of like it's like if you're trying to go into like a trying to open a locker, right? It only if there's no lock on the locker, you just kind of in one motion, basically, you just put the thing up, you open the door. But if it's locked, you have to actually know the combination, to actually open it. And it's not like you can just guess. You have to know the exact combination to open the locker. So same thing, right? You have to know the combinations in order to get moves. And yeah, man, I mean, like, not to say that Tekken is necessarily or 3D fighters are easy. They're just like more beginner friendly, like you can get into it. And then I think that's why it's it might be in some cases easier to retain people because then like people feel like they're like my cohorts were saying, it's like you see yourself on the screen doing things. So even when you don't know how to do things, you're doing things. And then later on, it's like you're being encouraged almost by the game to keep playing because you've done things without knowing things. So maybe, at least like for me, it was like, okay, I was doing things without knowing things, but if I learn some more things, I can do even more things and I can win matches against people who might know more things too. So with Street Fighter, man, I really had to actually sit down and learn something. It's like, I mean, you had to actually learn what I'm doing, like learn like like the spacing and all that. I don't know, man. It's like I feel like almost like when you're coming in at the beginner level for Street Fighter, it's like the threshold is higher because you have to come in and knowing like you have to basically like study more at the beginning than you would at the beginning of a 3D fighter because to even get to that point where you're able to to even compete with somebody who kind of knows what they're doing, who kind of like who knows moves and knows enough to like being able to do like a Hadouken and being able to anti-air you when you're jumping in, like you have to know a lot more. You can't just go in and start button mashing in my mind because same thing with like Under Night. You can button mash a little bit and maybe get like a couple things to happen, but you'll be on the corner in the corner by yourself, like spinning around doing like a break dancing and stuff, as opposed to the other person who's like throwing ice all over the screen and they've like opened up a black hole, pulled you in. Now you're standing next to them, and then they start slamming you all over the place, man. So I don't know, man. It Mr. Gameless said, maybe maybe Rooflemonger's experience was different, but as far as my experience and a lot of the people that I know, I feel like yeah, like 2D fighters just definitely not easier to get into than 3D fighters. I mean, there's a reason why Soul Calibur 2 was so popular because yeah, like if you got good at it, then it was super intense, super cool. But even if you weren't like a master or even like 100% competent at the beginning, you could still do stuff like going back to Maxi. You just spam like a couple buttons. Maxi did all types of crazy stuff, and it was nice to look at too. Like he's just flipping all over the place, doing all that crazy stuff, and then before you know it, you might have won the match. So I don't know, man. Like man, I love 3D fighters, man, but it's if I was going to if I had a kid and like I was trying to get them into fighting games, I would start them off on a 3D fighter before I introduced them to 2D fighters. So like, they just, to kind of, ease them into fighting games first and then like say, okay, we're gonna kind of I don't want to say graduate, but kind of like pivot, I guess, to trying out 2D fighters to see how you feel about those.
Yeah. I think you can make a case for but again, this is like, you make a case that like stuff like Tekken grabs in 3D fighters is much harder because like Tekken, you have like in Tekken specifically, you have to like look at which arm is being like thrown out at you. That's hard to like train yourself to do, like to see like, and especially like depending on if you're on a like different sides of the screen, you still have to know which arm is coming out at you first. But again, like I say, most people that are just getting into games, they don't care about that. All that stuff
Right.
does not matter. But I think also 3D fighters, they appeal more to just people, like overall, the way they look. I think most people think 3D fighters look cooler than 2D fighters. Because I'm be honest, I think a lot of people, more people than not, have a basic taste in fighting games or just games in general. So when they look at like, if you were to show them like Marvel versus Tekken, oh, that looks cooler because it looks more like real people, and it like that looks wacky and lame and like all these colors and stuff look anime style. I think a lot of people would just like pick a 3D fighter just because of that alone. Again, people I played with back in the day, I was playing Marvel 3 with them. They say this game looks whack. It looks like a 64 game. I'm like, huh?
Wow, really?
I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, this game, like Marvel 3? All right. So I just think on that alone, people would just pick a 3D fighter because they just look more. It's more of an accepting game. Like you just look at it, like, oh, that looks cooler than that game. Why would I play Street Fighter when I can play this game? Looks cool. They doing like real fighting, you know, because again, like I said, most people just have basic tastes in games. So yeah, so I just think off that alone, before you even touch the game, people be like, yeah, I play Tekken over Street Fighter or something like that.
Yeah.